Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I love doing these live episodes with you, streaming right into the group, being able to answer your questions. So thank you to everyone joining me here today. This episode is brought to you by Addo Aesthetics, the #1 coaching company for aesthetic professionals wanting to step into the role of CEO. And the topic that I want to bring to you today is deeply, deeply important. It's all about the power in the pause. Now, as business owners, we are striving for efficiency, right? How can we get things done in the quickest way possible? How can we be action takers, right? Getting out of student mode. That's a term that I use a lot inside of Growth Factor. I'm talking about our students and advising them, don't get stuck in student mode, consuming all the information, actually go out and do. But today I'm going to throw a little curveball because I want to talk about the power in the pause. And this pause can happen whether it's a good time in your life or your business, or it's a little more of a rough patch, okay? And this seems to be coming up a lot. So I felt very, very called to just kind of create this episode for you today. Now, I have a spa owner who she has just had steady growth. She's been doing really, really well. And the natural progression is you grow, you expand, you hire, you find a new location, right? All of these things. And when we were having that conversation, it just felt off to her. Something wasn't right. It was, just she didn't understand exactly what it was, but it just wasn't feeling in alignment with the vision that she wanted to create. She slept on it. She paused before doing anything, right? She really said, I need to process this. And she found clarity that she actually loved the size that her spa already is. She felt that the charm and the vibe that it was giving off was like exactly what she had worked so hard to create for. And she didn't want to expand. She didn't want to move location. She was very happy where she was. So she put her energy into creating efficiencies in her business. And that's huge. I was actually, like, total side note, I was having a conversation with Andrea, one of our longtime clients, the woman that we're partnering with the Liberty Foundation for Women, her foundation for the $10,000 grants. I was actually talking with her this morning, and she said, you've been talking about this for years and years, and I feel like I'm only right now in a position that I can actually understand and find the value in what you're saying around creating efficiencies in your business. Because sometimes we're always like, I've got to create the event or launch the membership or, do that next big, bold thing, when there can be hundreds of thousands of dollars in really just going through and refining your business, adjusting your schedule, making sure that you're at max capacity, tweaking your membership, tweaking your emails, going through and putting the energy and effort is. It's kind of like when you get a first draft of something. I don't know about you, but for me, when you get a first draft, you're like, okay, that's done. And you walk away for 24 hours and you go back and you basically can tear it apart. That was something that I learned when I was in college. I would write a report and be like, yes, however many words, I got that done. And then I would go back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I left this out. I left that out. I left that out. And it's sometimes we need to just have that time to revise. That pause is so deeply powerful. So the spa owner that I was talking about that said, I love where my business is. I love the vibe of it. I love the size of it. How can I increase profitability? How can I increase efficiencies? She went through her back bar protocol. She went through her time scheduling, all of these things, and truly found hundreds of thousands of dollars where she could increase by refining. That all came from taking a pause. All right. So deeply, deeply important. Now, let me give you another example. Okay. So when you're moving into that next stage of growth, this happens all the time. I almost feel like I can see a spa owner and see where they're at in their level of growth. We have kind of from solo to team, we have from team to work optional. There's these phases that businesses go in. And when you're in that solo to team and really starting to build and establish your team, right before you hit that next level of growth, there tends to be this shakeup, right? You'll get turnover. There's all these things that happen, and the business owner, the spa owner is like, oh my gosh, do we even want to do this? Should I go back to being solo? Am I a terrible leader? And it's like so predictable. And I look at that as such a great sign that you're actually just about to step into some pretty explosive growth. So what you're doing as you're starting to create and enforce policies, you're starting to hold team members accountable. And that can be really jarring for people. Big changes, people don't really do great with change naturally, right? So that causes a lot of turnover. You may be tempted to react and think, oh my gosh, should I go back to being solo? Oh my gosh, am I a bad leader? Really having those different emotions or reactions. But if you just allow yourself to pause, you allow yourself to feel whatever you need to feel, get the emotion out. It's normal, right? Every single person, guarantee even the top leaders in the world, question themselves when shakeups in their team happen, right? Very normal. Give yourself the time to pause so that you can actually respond to the situation. That can be huge. And there was another example here. I just keep these examples just keep coming up and coming up and coming up. There was a conversation happening with one of our growth factor members inside of the Facebook group. And she, without getting into too much detail, this is her personal information. She just had some challenging things going on in her personal life. And for me, like she was sharing that, my immediate response, rather than power through, you can do it, hire it out, all these kind of just probably what a lot of people would expect, put your big girl pants on, all this kind of stuff. My response was actually pause. Do what you need to take care of yourself and your family first, because in order to be the best CEO, in order to make the best decisions for your company, you need to be the best version of yourself. That may mean that you need more self-care. That may mean that you need to just allow your business to plateau for a couple of months and not have double-digit growth, right? That's okay. Building a business is a marathon, not a sprint. You're going to have these different seasons where you plateau and then you have growth, and you plateau and you have growth. That's normal, totally normal. And I think as women, it's really important to be able to hear that and understand that that's okay. It's okay. You're not a failure if you're putting yourself first. You're not a failure if you're not just having this, kind of hockey stick growth. My girlfriend, Tara, has been such a dear friend in my life. She's a business bestie for me. She's someone that I love dearly. Our families are friends. We had our kids at the same time. And there was a moment where I was having a really, really challenging time. It was the beginning of COVID, very beginning, right? Like April 2020. My son was just born. Those of you that are parents know the kind of just newborn blur, and especially with number 2, when there's already a toddler around. And then throw in the global pandemic, every spa in the country being shut down. I was going through a lot of questioning, right? Questioning my business, questioning what I wanted to do, being extremely sleep deprived, and just really not knowing, at that point, COVID was really scary. Nobody knew what it was. No one knew what was happening. We just knew that there was this thing happening and we were all on lockdown, which was very, very scary. And I remember talking with Tara and she said, look, our businesses are so much more elastic than we realize. And we think that if we lose this one person, then, our business is going to come crumbling down. Or if we don't get this funnel built by such and such date, there's all these things that come up and they're simply not true, right? In the 8 years that I have been in business, I have taken 2 4-month maternity leaves. I have taken a month-long honeymoon in Japan. I have moved. This is going to sound confusing, but it was confusing to me when I was making my notes. I moved from Hawaii to the East Coast, then to the West Coast, then to Hawaii again, and then back to the East Coast. All in this time, all supporting my husband who's active duty, which by choice, because of the demands of his job, means that I have a bigger burden at home with our family. So there's a lot of there's a lot of points in my business where I have paused and I'm still here, right? And that's something really important that we all need to remember. I had the foresight to realize that, look, I'm not going to be operating as the best version of myself if I try and power through. Look, guys, even today, I just took an hour nap in the middle of the day because my son was wide awake at 4 a.m. Even a little example like that, I'm going to pause. I have this other to do on my calendar, but you know what? I'm not going to be able to show up as the best version of myself if I don't get a quick recharge. I needed that. I'm looking at myself as the greatest asset of my business. Okay. So I want you to keep that in mind. Whether you're checking in, with yourself about the direction of your business, whether you're pausing to respond rather than react, whether you're pausing due to a situation in your personal life, don't feel that you are behind or that you're moving too slow. Know that you are moving with intention, that you are moving with purpose. That is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And, as I'm wrapping up here, I'm just remembering this story that's coming to mind for me. And I'm looking at the comments here. I've got Ellery saying, I agree with this so much. Tyrene saying, can't wait for the next Growth Factor opening. Yes, it's great. We had a gal in there today that posted on our Instagram that just said, I've been in Growth Factor and I just want you to know it's not only changing my business, but changing my life. And for me, those are the things that I screenshot and remember, like, yeah, sometimes you're tired, but look at what you're creating, right? But I want to just leave you with a quick story. And it actually has nothing to do with business at all. It's a story about my mom. But it just highlights so much the power of the pause. And I want to leave you with a visual. So my mom, about 23, 24, 25 years ago, something like that, moved to Hawaii. And, our whole family was living out there for quite some time. And when she first got there, she was swimming in the ocean. And if you didn't grow up by the ocean, you may not know kind of the rules of the ocean. You don't turn your back on the ocean. There's times that you swim and don't swim. She just didn't realize that. Now she's very comfortable in the water, but when she first moved there, she didn't understand some of these rules. And she had a noodle, like one of those swimming noodles, and she went out in this bay, and the current had kind of pulled her out, right? The ocean is not a pool, and it will pull you out further and further if you're not paying attention. And she started to get really nervous because she realized that she was much farther away from the shore than she had anticipated. And she's not a great swimmer at that point. She wasn't a great swimmer. And she will tell you without, like, in full seriousness, that a turtle, a honu, what we call them in Hawaii, saved her life. And you worry about sharks, right? And if you get anxious and your heart starts beating, they can pick that up. And so my mom started panicking and was worried that she was so far away. And she started swimming with her little noodle, but she wasn't moving closer to the shore. She was just staying in one spot, which was kind of this vicious cycle, making her feel more and more lost and more stuck and more panicked. And all of a sudden she realized that right below her, a great big honu came and was under the water down, but she could see the honu down below her. And she started watching him, watching what he was doing. And she realized that the turtle, the honu, was paddling when the wave was pushing forward and stopped paddling. It paused when the wave was going back out. So it was using all of its energy to paddle forward and then pausing. And so she just copied the turtle. She started copying that turtle, and she would swim, and then she would pause, and she would be calm, and then she would swim, and then she would be calm. And it's such a beautiful vision of like just seeing the power of the pause. So whatever place you're at in your business, whatever place you're at in your life, remember that how important it is to reflect, to check in, and really make sure that you are responding rather than reacting. All right, my friends, thank you so much. I hope that whoever needed to hear this today, that this brings you peace and, love and guidance and acceptance for yourself and where you're at in business. It's all the good things. So I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for showing up with me for this episode, and I'll catch you on the next one.